Tonight on A Week in League, we'll be talking LPL, LCK, LEC, LCS, Nike partnership with Rekkles, T1 CEO Joe March takes a salary cut, the Netflix series Arcane takes home 3 Emmy Awards, and so much more right after the intro. Welcome to A Week in League, where we cover League of Legends eSports all around the globe from all 4 major regions. I'm your host Slomar, and let's just get right into the news. As usual, timestamps and references will be in the description, and while you're down there, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thanks. We have an exciting playoff bracket with 10 teams participating this year. But before we talk about the brackets, let's recap Week 10 of the LPL. No teams go undefeated this week, with the exception of V5 and FPX that only had 1 game this week, but that doesn't really count. WE goes 0-3 this week, completing their 16 series loss streak. This team has won 0 series this season and only have 7 game wins. OMG's Shanji wins the last Rookie of the Week award, giving him 4 awards total. He is now tied for first place with TES Wayward, both with 4 awards each. RNG's Xiaohu is the best player of Week 10 in the LPL. Summit, Tarzan, Xiaohu, Pioshik, and PB God are the best players of Week 10. Now let's talk about the 10 teams heading into playoffs, and we got TES, JDG, V5, RNG, EDG, WBG, LNG, OMG, FPX, and BLG heading into playoffs this year. Now let's say goodbye to the other 7 LPL teams, as we're probably not going to be talking about them for the rest of the year. See you later, guys! The LPL playoffs are arguably the highest level and toughest competition in the LOL eSports space. All top 10 teams play different styles, picks, and have different superstars from every role. The playoff bracket format in the LPL is unique, utilizing a King of the Hill style elimination bracket for the first 3 rounds, then switching to a double elimination bracket to close it off. Now this is such a cool playoffs format in my opinion, and it adds into the playoffs hype and the sheer competitiveness of the LPL as a league. So here's how we're going to do our predictions for the LPL. Since all the games are going to happen between now and next week's episode, we're going to have to predict the first 3 rounds this episode, and we'll do the double elimination bracket next week. Let's start off with the first game, and that's OMG versus FPX. And while I think this is going to be a close series, I believe in FPX Summit. I say FPX will make it out. EDG versus FPX is next, and I think I'm going to stick to my FPX prediction on this round as well. Next, we have RNG versus FPX, and I have to give it to the MSI champions, as RNG have been looking good, ramping up just in time for playoffs. I think RNG might even make a deep run into playoffs this year. Next, we have the TES versus RNG, and I think TES is going to make it out of this one and send RNG to the lower bracket. Now let's talk about the other side of the playoff bracket. We got LNG versus BLG, and to be honest, this one's a toss-up. Both teams look very shaky in my opinion, and you never really know what you're gonna get. Let's say LNG make it out, but I don't think it matters because your boy the Shy on WBG is gonna end their playoff run anyways. Next, we have V5 versus WBG. And while I think the Shy can do some damage, I think the rookie is on top of his game right now, and his bot lane is on a hot streak. V5 will make it out. Next, we have JDG versus V5, and this is actually a really big game, since I think there may be even an advantage in losing this game to playing on the other side of the bracket. That will guarantee not going up against TES until the playoffs. I think V5 should win, but like I said, I think there might be an advantage to actually losing this series and going on a lower bracket, so you never know. Tune in next week where we'll continue the playoff predictions and see how many we got right. Since we had our 6 teams locked into playoffs last week, the games this week didn't really matter, so we're not going to cover them anyways. Instead, we're going to talk about the LCK Summer Split Awards. We have Zeus, Peanut, Chovy, Ruler, and Lehens. Well deserved to all the Gen G players and Zeus. Here are the second and third pro teams. The regular season MVP is Gen G's AD carry, Ruler. Been long overdue on this one as Ruler has never gotten an MVP award in the LCK. The LCK Rookie of the Year award goes to KT Rolsters, Vikla. The Best Coach award goes to Score. And we have a tie for Players of the Split, and it's between Ruler and Prince. Congratulations to all the winners for the LCK awards. The LCK playoffs is a single elimination bracket with 6 teams participating. As we mentioned last week, these teams are Gen G, T1, Live Sandbox, Dom1 Kia, KT, DRX. It feels like both quarterfinal matches are not as hype as I would have liked. However, we are possibly set up for a telecom war in the semifinals. Both semifinals are actually going to be set up to be such bangers. Now, I think KT will make it out to face T1 in a semifinal, which will set it up for a classic telecom war. I'm also confident that Live Sandbox will make it out to meet Gen G in the semifinals. The question here is, are there any chance for an upset in the semifinals? Or are we going to see a Gen G versus T1 in the finals as anticipated? I think there's a world where we have a Gen G versus KT in the finals, but the odds of that happening are very low. So my prediction is Gen G versus T1 in the finals. Tune in next week where we're going to recap the games and predict the finals. Things got crazy in the LEC this last week with quite an eventful Super Week taking place. Fnatic and G2 go 3-0 and Team Vitality goes 0-3. Vitality and Excel were tied for 6th place, which meant the tiebreaker on Sunday decided who got to go into playoffs. Excel managed to knock out Vitality from playoffs this split. What a crazy run for this Vitality squad. We've heard rumors about the Vitality super team ever since they've joined the LEC, and this year they finally managed to form a super team. However, they missed playoffs and they didn't have a great spring either. They most definitely will not be heading into Worlds. I'm 99% certain that this roster will blow up in the offseason. Mark my words. After the crazy Super Week and the 2 tiebreaker games on Sunday, we now have 6 teams locked into playoffs, and those teams are G2, Mad Lions, Rogue, Misfits, Fnatic, and Excel. Crazy to see Vitality not making this list. The LEC playoffs are a double elimination bracket with 6 teams participating. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket and make some predictions. I think G2 will make it out and send Misfits straight down to the lower bracket. While I think the next game is going to be really close, I think Rogue will edge out and win over Mad Lions. On Sunday, I think Fnatic will win against Excel and knock them out of playoffs. I'm just not sure if they can make it any further though. Tune in next week where we'll be covering the games and predicting the rest of the playoff bracket. This week in the LCS, it was Pool Party Super Week. Wait. Hold on. Much better. The LCS broadcast continues to put on a great show with these themes and segments that are coming out weekly. This week, they released another Where Are They Now with Nintendude X. Not sure if any of you remember this guy, but I used to watch his stream all the time back in the day. EG and FlyQuest are the only teams undefeated going 3-0 this Super Week. Although FlyQuest did lose the only tiebreaker against C9 for 5th place, but we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. Dignitas and Immortals go 0-3 in their last 3 games this summer split, being eliminated from the playoff race. This means we now have 8 teams locked in the playoffs, and those teams are EG, 100 Thieves, TL, CLG, C9, FlyQuest, TSM, and Golden Guardian. The LCS playoffs are a double elimination style bracket with 8 teams participating. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket. We have 2 predictions to make this week, so let's start off with the first game on Saturday. TL versus FlyQuest. I'm a little bit biased since I'm a big TL fan, but I still think they're overall favored to win this matchup. I'm gonna say TL makes it out and send FlyQuest to the lower bracket to play against TSM, which, on a side note, if that happens, FlyQuest versus TSM will be a spicy matchup. Next, we have CLG versus C9, and I'm also a little CLG biased here, but I'm gonna say CLG make it out anyways. CLG hype train, let's go! Tune in next week where we cover the playoff series and continue our predictions through the bracket. Welcome to In Other News, where we discuss news that may or may not be related to the scene. This week's headline is, T1 CEO Joe Marsh is under fire for making inappropriate comments on a private T1 fan Discord. T1 and their CEO Joe Marsh have been under a lot of pressure from the T1 fanbase lately. Even the LCK LOL Park even had to tighten down their security measures after receiving multiple threats from the T1 fans. Joe has issued an apology and will be taking a salary cut for the next 6 months. The full statement from Joe can be found in the description. In other news, Nike has unveiled a partnership with K-Corp's AD carry, Rekkles. This marks the third Nike partnership in esports, however, this is arguably the first one in the West. The other two partnerships were also two AD carry players, ironically, and it's Uzi and BRTT. I personally think the hype video they put out on Twitter was really cool. Anyways, link in description if you want to learn more. Golden Guardians dismisses longtime League Esports GM Dane Flander after 4 consecutive losing seasons. Now, we know that Golden Guardians managed to make it into playoffs. However, things are still looking a bit rough with all the player swaps and the recent acquisition of their ex-Dignitas jungler, River. More information below. In other news, the hit League of Legends show on Netflix, Arcane, takes home 3 Emmy Awards this year. I'm really glad to see the series is getting attention and praise from outside of the League of Legends scene. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. They're already working on season 2. In other news, G2 become the first team in the world to qualify for the 2022 League of Legends Worlds Championship. This is usually not how early this happens, but with the addition of the 4th seed to Europe this year, it has made things a little weird. The LEC playoffs are designed to get 3 teams out to Worlds, and with the additional spot, it basically means that first place is guaranteed a world spot regardless. Stay tuned as we will be covering all the teams that qualify into Worlds this year. In other news, eSports Charts has released viewership data on the top 8 LOL esports leagues in terms of Western viewership. Please note that these numbers do not take the Chinese viewership into account. Here's a list arranged by peak viewership, and at the top we have LCK, LEC, LFL, LVP, CBLOL, VCS, LCS, and LPL in last place. This seems a little odd to me, however, if you arrange this data by the number of concurrent viewers, we get something that looks a little different. LCK, LEC, CBLOL, LCS, LFL, LVP, VCS, and LPL. This is still a bit weird, but a little less weird than the peak viewership list for sure. To be honest, I didn't really think that leagues like the LFL, the LVP, and CBLOL got this much viewership, but I guess I was wrong. In other news, Riot Games are going to start deleting really old League of Legends accounts. Riot Games will be deleting accounts that they call inactive, and an inactive account is an account that has not been used in 3 or more years. I guess if you're somehow watching this and you haven't logged into your League of Legends account in 3 years, now is the time to keep your account active. In other news, Riot Games put out a video on their League of Legends YouTube channel discussing the 2023 preseason changes. They discussed an improved ping system, changes to the jungle, possible pets, the return of Chemtech Drake, and so much more. The preseason is always an exciting time for game changes, and I'm definitely looking forward to this year's preseason. If you want to watch the video, link in description. In other news, and maybe not so serious news, LOL World Champion Ambition names his son after the iconic champion Jarvan. Ambition won Worlds in 2017 and even has a J4 skin in the game. He retired in 2018 and has since settled down and has a child. He named his child Jarvan V. What a wholesome story. Win Worlds on J4, name your kid G5, maybe J6 for grandkids. Who knows? In other news, live player comms will not be returning to the LCS for the time being. This is a bit of sad news, especially after they got me hyped for this last week, but I hope they bring this back around for playoffs, maybe even Worlds. Please? Before I wrap up the show this week, I want to leave you with this. Do you want to know how much time you've wasted on League of Legends? Well, look no further. Head over to Wasted on League and type in your summoner name and you will be surprised. And that is the end of our show for this week. We're definitely ramping into playoffs and things will only get more exciting from here on out. Thank you again for all the support, and I still can't believe that we're so close to 100 subscribers. At 100 subscribers, I will release a behind the scenes video where I go over exactly how I make one of these episodes from start to finish. If you're enjoying the show, please consider subscribing. Have a good night and good luck in solo queue.